Hey guys, those of you who have been following what's been going on at the old Japanese farmhouse might remember this area from the front. This is what it looked like back in January. Lots of people have been asking us what's been going on at the house, so we've made this video for those people. Other people might not find this so interesting, and if that's the case, just move on to another video, but this is for the people who have been asking what's going on at the farmhouse. So we've turned that front area from looking like that into looking like this, so it's somewhat improved. But it requires quite a bit of water, and water here is quite expensive. We pay for it by the litre, so pouring it onto the grass is not really a good thing to do. So we decided to try and catch some rainwater. So in amongst all the farming stuff that's been lying around the house, we found this container, which is a 500 litre container, probably used for fertilising or might have been used for irrigating, possibly, but more likely to be used for fertilising or something. So 500 litres is a good size, it's in reasonably good condition, and we see these used out in the farms all the time, out in the weather, and they seem to last pretty well. So we've got these two outlets on it, pretty big size, heavy gauge outlets. We need to get down to tap size. So in amongst the other stuff that was lying around the house was some tap fittings, these ones, and then we just needed a couple more parts, so we went and bought these bits here for a couple of dollars, a few dollars, and then assembled the various bits until we had this that allows us to connect a hose to it so that we can run water out to the grass. So then we need to adapt the big hole so that it'll take that thread. So for about 55 yen, so about 70 cents, we got an adapter, cleaned up the hole first, and then glued the adapter into place with heavy duty glue, plumber's glue, the correct stuff, and that'll give us a thread then that we can then put that tap on. So I'm guessing we've probably lost most of the people already. We've probably got about 3 people still watching. Not a super Japan thing, this, is it? But it's a Japan farmhouse, right? So it's a Japan thing. Considered putting this on the other channel, but there's that many people that have been asking what's been going on at the house, so this is just one of the boring jobs. A bit of fly screen left over from the fly screening job that some of you might have seen, and a rubber strap that was left lying around here and amongst the farming stuff as well. So I want to keep the leaves out, and also want to keep the mosquitoes out. Don't really want to make a mosquito colony in there. That was tricky. I needed one more hand. If I had 3 hands, that would have been a lot easier. So just sort of a simple setup at the top there so that it can be removed easily. And then our plumber's glue has dried, so we use some plumber's tape, the white tape, on the thread, and that creates a seal. And then depending on how thick you put that on, or how much you put on there, when you turn it onto the thread, the end result will be which way the tap faces, and you don't know till you try it. So you try it, and if the tap faces the wrong way, if it faces upwards when you want it facing downwards, you take it off and you add some more plumber's tape. It's a trial and error thing, and when you eventually get the right amount of plumber's tape on there, it'll finish up facing the way you want it to face. There we go, happy with that. And then off to the woodshed. Some of you will remember this room where we keep all the bits and pieces, all the timber and hardware stuff. Need to find some heavy duty timber that can take a 500 kilo load, because 500 litres of water weighs about 500 kilo. See this beauty of the metric system, those of you, that 4% of the world that don't use the metric system, it's one of the good things it gives us. 1 litre of water is about 1 kilo, which means it's got to take 500 kilos, which is quite a bit of weight. So use the heavy duty timber there. It's a bit rough, it is a bit rough, but it's free. It's recycling, you see, we're recycling the old timber. And there wasn't really a big design drawn up for this. It was basically some rough mathematics to give us. We need to get enough height. This is to make a stand to put the thing on, because we need to get it up high enough that it will run, the water will run gravity feed down to where the grass is. So we need to get it up higher than the grass, basically. So this end result is about 1.3 meters high, which is enough. But also being 1.3 meters high, we need to make it reasonably strong so it doesn't twist and fall over when it's got 500 kilos on top of it. But yeah, it wasn't real technical. It was all pretty rough. Yeah, that's about right there. And there was a square involved. Used a carpenter's square now and again. But you can see the thinking there, because there's no real big overall plan at the beginning. There's a rough plan. There was a rough plan. Okay, we'll do that and that and that. Now we need to brace it. What are we going to brace it? Yeah, something like that. How's that? Yeah, that looks okay. Let's do that. So making sure it's square. He did make sure it was square. And then that was the result. The first result. Good room, that room. Remember this room, guys? It was the tractor room. It's the room with the attic. Those of you who've watched those videos remember there was the tractor room that had the attic in it. So we now call it the machinery room, because it's got the big saws and the compressor and all that stuff in it. But perfect on a rainy day like this to go in there and work on this silly thing. It's all pretty rough. Using like coach bolts, I think some people call them, like a giant screw with a hexagon head on it, and then painted it up with some magic paint. We found these big cans, 14 kilo cans of paint, that are actually have rust inhibitor in them, but can also be used on wood. So you can use them on metal or on wood. They're actually made for the corrugated iron, which you'll see in a later video. You're going to see a lot of that colour paint, because we found that we can get it really cheap. It's 14 kilos of it for about $60, which is really cheap, of course. So that's where we want the water to go, over there in the grass. And this is sort of a nice little corner of the house to put the tank in, because it's sort of out of the way a bit. That downpipe doesn't run a lot of water when it's raining, but it's just a good position, because it's, as you can see, it was just sort of a storage place for pottery and, you know, old pots and stuff. So sort of a good spot for the tank, really, out of the way. It's not going to take up any usable space. So we just have to move all that stuff, move that giant pipe and that other stuff out of the way, and that'll allow us to bring the finished tank stand around the front. If only we had 2 men to do it, but we don't. That was heavy, guys. That's hardwood. That was really heavy. I needed an assistant. There we go. Fabulous. Putting it on bricks just to keep it off the ground, because those wooden legs were painted really well on the bottom, but just to stop them sitting in water when it does rain, put them up on bricks just to sort of let them drain off a bit, keep them dry, a bit dry, make them dry quicker. That's what it'll do. Make it last a bit longer. That was heavy too. Needed another person for that too. Got it up there, looked at it and went, no, wait a minute, it's the wrong way around. There we go. Let's move that around again. Okay, there we go. Okay, fabulous. Ta-da! Okay, so I need to redirect that downpipe now, so it feeds the water in the top of our big tank. Fortunately, they hadn't actually glued that downpipe in place. It was just sort of plugged in there, so that was good. Made it easy to unplug, disconnect, and then again there was downpipe and 45-degree elbows lying around in amongst all these farming stuff. So fortunately, we'd kept a lot of materials in that material room, in that timber room, and it was all there, pretty well everything we needed. This whole project cost about, including coach bolts and stuff, probably less than $20 for the whole project, because everything else was already here. And here's the end result. And we can use it. We've already got a garden hose that we use, so we can just plug it in to that tap and just run it off, let it gravity feed. It's going to flow slowly, of course, from that tap, because it's only under gravity, so it's going to be slow, but that's okay. Run the hose out there and leave it leaking all day, you know, when it's been dry. If we haven't had rain for a few days, that'll keep the grass healthy. We just need some rain now. Fill up the tank. Blue sky, that'd be right. Anyway, I hope the two of you that watched this to the end enjoyed it. More videos coming soon.